We are back again with more Rise of Shadows card reviews. Once again, we're just doing a quick overview for these ones, but let's jump straight in with the Mage cards. First card here, Kirin Tor TriCaster. It's a 4-mana 3/3 minion with spell damage plus 3. That is a lot. However, it does have the disadvantage that your spells cost 1 more. So if we think about this with a card like, say, Arcane Missiles, it means our Arcane Missiles cost 2 and deal 6 damage divided, which is still a better rate than Cinderstorm. I really like this one in that application. I think this with your Shooting Stars with the cheaper Mage spells, I really like that. I mean, with Fireball or something like that, even that it's still good. However, this does compete with the Celestial, the 4-mana 4/3 that has spell damage plus 2. And I don't know if the 1 more spell damage and the spells costing 1 more is a good trade-off for not having the spells cost 1 more and getting the extra point of attack, and any potential elemental synergies that you might have going on in your deck if you want to play Bonfire Elemental or something like that. But this could be pretty interesting. That might give Mage this critical mass of minions that if they do stick around on the board, your opponent just is going to start eating some damage. And we'll keep an eye out for some more cheap Mage spells that we can pair this with that deal damage. Up next, Magic Dart Frog. Ooh, I like this artwork. He wants to do a munch. It's a 2-mana 1/3. It's a beast. After you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion. Pretty interesting. Kind of like a Flame Waker light. Very light, in fact, as it can only hit enemy minions, which in most cases is exactly where you want it to go. So I think it might be a little bit better than what it seems. It is after you cast a spell, so if we Arcane Missiles, it's going to do our Arcane Missiles, then the damage is going to go off. If we Shooting Star, or if we is Syndragos' Breath still around? Probably not. But this could be interesting. This might mean like a new style of tempo Mage. Could obviously still pairs really well with secrets, Kirin Tor Mage and a secret. Yeah, this definitely one to keep an eye out from. And yeah, especially like we were saying, if those go wide decks do become quite popular. I mean, Magic Dart Frog plus Shooting Star is a nightmare scenario. So yeah, I like this one. Conjurer's Calling. This was one of the last kind of spoiled cards. It's a 3-mana spell. Destroy a minion, summon 2 minions of the same cost to replace it. And it has Twin Spell. So there's obviously a lot of applications here, but the first one that jumped out to me is it's a very kind of death rattly, cubey kind of card. As you can target your own minion, kill it, and then we get 2 minions of the same cost, and we trigger our death rattle. Obviously great with cards like the minions that are 1/1s that summon another body that's just a lot bigger, but that minion itself still costs 5 or something like that. Quite good with that. And then in a pinch, you can also hit your opponent's maybe low cost minion that's been buffed up a bit, and get rid of it and summon 2 little chuds. Because it has Twin Spell, I think that situation that's going to come up a little bit more often than we think. But yeah, I kind of can get behind this. Obviously, it pairs very well with some of the other cards that we'll probably see, some of this minion Mage type stuff. But I think that the applications of this are pretty interesting. I'm going to be keen to see this in action for sure. All right, we have Magic Trick with the Goblin doing the finger thing. I don't know how to do it. It's a 1-mana Mage spell. Discover a spell that costs 3 or less. So this is definitely no Primordial Glyph. I think we can all agree. Obviously, this card does really depend on how good all the Mage spells that cost 3 or less are. Unfortunately, that does include all of the secrets, which is going to kind of bloat the pool. And I imagine that not a lot of decks that are going to want to play this are also going to want to be discovering secrets. Unless maybe this is a good replacement for Archaeologist and things like that. We can use this, discover a secret, Kirin Tor, still kind of got that stuff going on. Yeah, definitely interesting. Like we said, we'll have to wait and see what the full card pool for Mage looks like, the full spell pool, because it really depends on just how consistently you'll be able to find those frost bolts, those really high value Mage spells. I was bamboozled by the finger thing. Alright, up next, Mana Cyclone. 2 mana, 2/2 is an elemental. Battlecry. For each spell you've cast this turn, add a random mage spell to your hand. So, probably a bit of a non-bow with the Kirin Tor TriCaster. But if we are playing a deck that's got, you know, those arcane missiles, those shooting stars, those magic tricks in the deck, you know, maybe at 4 or 5 mana, we can rattle off 2 of those, chuck down a Mana Cyclone, hope to kind of trade those, maybe a bit of a tempo loss into some resource gain. Interesting option. The body itself is pretty weak though, and I think that in a deck where you're likely to play a lot of cheaper spells, you're more likely to want a better minion on the board as a 2-drop. But this could be a flexible, maybe a 1-of or something like that, that you can just use to, you know, try and win those games that go a little bit longer than what you want. So I'm really interested in this one. All right, next we got another 1 mana spell, which is quite good for a lot of the synergies we've been seeing. Ray of Frost, in very cool artwork. Is a 1 mana spell, freeze a minion. If it's already frozen, deal 2 damage to it, and we have Twin Spell. So obviously we can pair both of these together. We can freeze something and then 2 damage to it. So exactly like the Hunter spell we were looking at before, kind of 2 damage, 2 mana, 2 damage. But yeah, with a lot of these other spell synergies, these Magic Dart Frogs, even just playing Questing Adventurer, of course, with Sorcerer's Apprentice, we can do it for free. I really like it. In fact, this is kind of one of the decks that I'd love to experiment around with very early on, would be this kind of like cheap spell, tempo mage, maybe some Luna, stuff like that in there. See what we can get. I think Vexcrow is still around. So we could get some yeah, very spelly kind of mage stuff going on. In fact, I think Vexcrow synergizes quite well with a lot of these new mage spells, except for that TriCaster. Very anti-synergy there. Sweet spell. Love it. Next, speaking of crows, we have the Messenger Raven. It's a 3 mana 3/2 beast. Battlecry, discover a mage minion. Once again, this is a mage minion, similar to the druid effect that we saw before. So it's only going to look at the mage pool. And there are a lot of mage minions that are kind of build around me effects that you might want to hold on to in order to deploy at the right time, because you don't want to just play a Sorcerer's Apprentice, have it die if your plan is to, you know, go off with a bunch of spells. So Messenger Raven could help you discover more copies of those minions in case they die, or so that you can deploy them to waste some of your opponent's resources. We could also be discovering cards like Antonidas. We could be discovering those larger legendary minions that could help us, you know, win games that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. I think this could be quite good. Like we were saying before, with the because when Rise of Shadows comes out, the card pool is going to be very small. I think Messenger Raven might be able to. You're pretty likely to find the right minion, or a minion that's going to assist you in that situation. So I really like this one. The only issue is the body, of course, and that, you know, we don't know if there is like a tempo mage style deck. Do you want to be playing a 3/2 on for 3 mana, or would you rather be playing like a 3/4, something with a good body? Interesting for sure. All right, Power of Creation. This is another card that was spoiled pretty early on. It's an 8 mana spell. Discover a 6-cost minion and summon 2 copies of it. Now, 6 mana, I believe, is a pretty good kind of like flashpoint. That's when minions, the stats of minions get quite good. You know, even if you just think about neutral options, we've got cards like Sunwalker, the great 6-cost minion that you'd love to have 2 of, even for 8 mana. That's a great rate. Your opponent's going to be struggling to beat through that. We can get Ken Bloodhoof. You know, that's a great legendary that, you know, it's just, it gives you so much stickiness on the board. So yeah, it will depend on how big the pool of 6-cost minions are, and just how many hits there are, versus how many whiffs there are. Argent Commander as well, immediate 8 damage, trades, very good, very sticky. So yeah, even just with some neutral options, Power of Creation is looking pretty powerful. I like it. Next we have Khadgar, another cheap legendary. 2 mana 2/2. Your cards that summon minions summon twice as many. So we were talking about, you know, even just with Power of Creation there, for 10 mana you can drop Khadgar, play Power of Creation, and you get 4 6-cost minions. We've got, what else? The Conjurer's Calling, of course. We can, you know, destroy one of our things, and then we get 4 minions that cost the same as that minion. And, you know, Khadgar only costs 2, so we can pair those quite well together. We've got, I believe, the 4 mana summon 2 2-drop minions that's affected by spell damage. That is still in standard and will work with this. Also works quite well with the TriCaster. 5 mana summon 2 5/5s. 5-cost minions, rather. So I think Khadgar is really cool. Cheap cost, pair it with a bunch of cool effects. I like it. The last card here is Kalecgos. It's a 10 mana 4/12 dragon. And it says that the first spell each turn, your first spell each turn costs 0. And on Battlecry you discover a spell. So we can obviously, you know, discover a Pyroblast, immediately Pyroblast our opponent for 10 damage. The first spell costing 0 each turn. You know, if there is, say, like a controlling mage deck, that's pretty good. That'll allow you to turn the corner quite quickly. You know, we can deploy these, you know, Power of Creations. These are very high power effects. We can cast a free Flame Strike. There's lots of applications for this, and I like that you get some value out of it immediately. I think that's going to be a really key thing with a lot of these late game legendaries. Is, you know, without Lich King in the format, which was a fantastic, like, you know, you play him, your opponent's brick walled, you get a little bit of value. If your opponent doesn't answer it, you get more value. Without a lot of cards like that in the format, we will have to look towards in-class options, as well as newer neutral options for late game finishes. I think Kalecgos is a perfect one. Really like this. Can't wait to see what the golden one looks like, what kind of animation it's got going. Fantastic. All right, well, that's all the Mage cards. Join me next when we check out the Paladin cards. Bye-bye.